We are May 29th. We've got literally 4 more classes left on the schedule, but really only about 2 because some of these are going to be allocated for you to take your exam. Today, we're going to do a really interesting mock interview. So I don't know what the Spanish word for mock, but it's just kind of a fake interview. So David and I are going to cover kind of a real life situation with how you interview with a Salesforce job. I've given him a script and I'll cover some of the steps and also give some advice along the way on what works and what to look out for. We're going to look at your resumes. I've got 3 resumes that were sent. We'll briefly look at LinkedIn again, like David said. And then I've been talking to a few people at Salesforce, and I think the project work is probably not going to take place. So we were going to do some project stuff. It ends up being that it's a lot more heavy lifting. Plus, there are some trails that kind of do the same thing. So for the sake of time and focus, the last piece of homework that you'll need to do for Trailhead is, we're going to assign it right here. It is this set of trails. It's 1,200 points. Takes about 2 hours and 30 minutes. Some of this stuff you may have. I don't know if you have all of it, but it basically covers all of the important things for the Salesforce certification exam. So there's setup and objects, security, data management, applications, activities, and mobile, and then reporting and automation. So these sets of trails, which you can see there's different units under there, are really going to start to sharpen a lot of the skills that you've learned over the last several months. So some of this may be repeat, some of it may be new, but I think most of it's going to be stuff you've seen. So by next Saturday when we meet, we want to make sure that you have these complete. So please just, we'll send out the link and everything, but this is going to be the big homework for the week. And then next week, I think I'm going to be in Austin actually, so the timing could be better for me. It'll be 9 o'clock. We're going to look at the exam, how to schedule it, the structure, how to mentally prepare for it, and really start to get ready for the exam. One of the things that we're trusting each of you ladies to do is to continue to take the practice exams on Focus on Force. So that is a big, that's going to help a lot. And then the last thing is I know that David, did everybody complete the midterm that we assigned, the 25 questions?
They did, Hector, but the person who created the test forgot to put a blank for put your name at the top of the test. So we don't know. So we don't know how to identify who did what.
Really?
I'm sorry. It's my first time to ever use Google Forms, so my apologies, my bad.
So we don't even have an email like attached to it?
I have never used it before. I have no idea how it works. So Ismail, is there any way to figure it out?
Yeah. You're the creator, so it would be you. I mean, I can try to help you too.
I'll dig into it. Joanna, I don't appreciate you laughing at me. It's come on now. Everybody makes mistakes. I will dig into it more this afternoon, Hector.
Yeah, you can send me your original link. Let's see if I can find it too. It's actually, they have to have like,
I thought
they should have the email address, I think. So
yeah, it would be something. I've never used it before, so my bad.
That's okay. We'll figure it out. I don't know if we're gonna make them take it again, but we'll figure it out. So with that being said, let's start with resumes. I've got 3 resumes that were sent, and it looks like, is there a new message here? 4. So we have Johanna, Wendy, Celeste, Aranza. Who are we missing? Oh, Yaz. I don't see Yaz on here. You have a resume, Yaz?
Yeah, yesterday I sent it to Tony, but I didn't send it to the email that Ismail sent me. So I'm gonna send it right now. Can I send
Okay.
it?
Okay. That's
Okay.
fine. We'll pull it up here in a minute. So let's say we have Yaz, Celeste, Johanna. Yeah, we just don't have. We're missing one. Who's missing again? Wendy. Wendy's missing, right?
No, Wendy's turned it in. Celeste.
No, I'm talking about like on the call right now.
Oh, gotcha.
So yeah, we'll come back to Wendy if she joins, but let's just go over the folks that are on the call. So let's start with Celeste. I have some feedback here, but maybe David, I'm interested to hear your feedback on how you think her resume looks.
Let me pull it up.
No, I'm sharing. You should be able to see.
Pardon me.
That's all right.
I just see the email, Hector. I don't see the double click of the resume.
Oh, let me try sharing again. I don't know why it wasn't working. Sorry. I have too many Google tabs open. Let me know if you can see it.
It's trying.
Now.
Yes, I can.
Okay. Just first impressions, because I have feedback, but I would like to hear yours too.
I like your picture. I like visually. It's pretty. I like the simplicity of it. I'm a concise person, so less is more for me. Let me see what the mission statement says. Great motivation to continue honing skills and grow professionally. I fully trust my ability to produce ideas and develop business areas. You got a link to your LinkedIn. Let's see. Is that the list of all your badges? It seems like you've done more than that.
I think these are skills maybe she's acquired. Celeste, where it says here, did you just pick out some skills that you've learned and that's what you put here?
Celeste, you there?
Can you repeat, please?
Like, my suggestion would be list all your badges. I mean, what you ladies have done with the badges, I don't think you understand what an accomplishment it is. So my encouragement would be list out every badge you've earned.
Yeah, I don't know about like listing every one because they may have like 60. But what I may suggest, I know where you're going though, David, is you should put Trailhead Ranger. Because what that does, or Salesforce, whatever the official title is, because what that does is people who know it, they know that you've gotten a certain number of badges. But let me start, like, I guess my initial feedback, this looks very clean, concise. I like it. Like if I was a hiring manager, I would be like, wow, I know where the areas are. Celeste, my feedback to you is you probably don't need an address, like your home address. Not a lot of people put that, so you can even just put city, but you don't need a street address. I like your education, looks great. Languages look great. Your personal profile, I like that. Skills, I would probably update them a little bit. If like responsibility is good, but like there's probably other stuff you want to put on here. So I would probably put any kind of technical skills like Microsoft Excel, PowerPoint, any other presentation skills, successful working in team environment. I like that. So maybe remove responsibility and add a few technical skills, but you've got some good stuff there. Work experience. I think the one thing I'd probably say is you should say, because it's not really work, it's kind of, I would probably say technical or education experience, because it's not like this elevator is not a job. And some companies may think that, oh, you worked for us. And so that's the only thing I'd switch there. I would agree with David. You can keep a lot of this here. I think it's pretty compelling. Put that you're a Trailhead Ranger and put your super.
She's a mountaineer. Yeah, I would put on there a mountaineer and that you've completed 47 trails. That's a big statement.
Or you can finish the homework and that'll probably get you over to maybe Ranger. But yes, Mountaineer or whatever stage you are. Totally agree. And then any super badge. So I think you have it right here. So that's good. So Celeste, I think you're headed in a really good direction. Let's look at it again, make those updates I suggested, but I like it. I look at a lot of resumes and this one's pretty solid. So keep up the good work.
Hey, Celeste, who's your mentor?
What's that?
Celeste, I would encourage you to maybe spend some time with your mentor and have review it with them and get their feedback too. Can you do that? Celeste?
Yeah, who's the mentor? Mariana? Do you still talk to Mariana, Celeste?
Yeah, but he has busy.
I'm sorry?
Could you
Couldn't
repeat?
quite hear you, Celeste. So what David's saying is right. If you can talk to your mentor and have them give you some feedback too. If your mentor is not, like, if they're not responding or you have any problems, just come directly to me. I'm happy to help you get there. But I would take all the advice David and I gave you and let's look at it next week again. But that's you got a good start. Let's jump to Aranza. All right. So, David, maybe give me your first impressions and then I have some feedback too here.
Can you double click? I can't see it, Hector.
I don't know why it doesn't, like.
I see the Class A no.
It's like I have to stop presenting and then start presenting again.
You have challenges with Google.
Oh God, yeah, I do.
You would think being in Seattle, that would be like a gimme for you.
Yeah. Can you see it now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Candidly, like when I first look at this, I'm not real excited just about the visual layout of it. I don't know what, I guess I don't like those soft colors. Personally, I would like something more solid, but that's just a visual thing for me. And it seems like there's a little too much blank space between Salesforce administrator and career objectives. But let's see your objective. Adaptable high school student with proven creative thinking. I need to leverage my ability to successfully face. All right, I like your objective statement. You got your LinkedIn profile. Oh, I like you have your Trailblazer link in there too. That's really important. I like that you have your GPA in there. When you'll finish high school so people know where you're at. Okay, I like I received recognition for having finished English course. I like your references there. For skills, maybe I would say is, Aranza, where are you with, you're a ranger, so lady, please put that there. I would have like maybe I'm a ranger in that I've completed 121 trails and 1 super badge. I mean, those are important statements.
Yep, I would agree. Just going back to Celeste, I would look at some of the skills here from Aranza. You know, you don't have to do everything because maybe you don't do the drawing and painting, but what she has here, a lot of the English native or very good, PowerPoint, like all of this, that's kind of what I was referring to for you, Celeste. So that's a good example. In regards to Aranza, I would agree. The colors, I think they look cool, but when you're trying to be, you know, getting a job and professional, you need to probably make them a little bit more subtle. So like a gray or a black, or maybe just change up the layout a little bit. I like the content, but the layout's a little, you know, it could be improved a little bit. The Salesforce administrator up here at the top, I think that's really good. You have to be careful because you don't have your certification yet. So I would leave it there, but just be prepared that, and I haven't said this to any of you guys, but when you get your certification, that's the first thing you put up here because that's the most powerful thing. But for now, you can either put Salesforce administrator or aspiring Salesforce administrator, which means you're going to be there. David's right, a little bit too much white space here. I love the education, the awards. The one thing I'd say is you have, and by the way, some of the stuff I'm giving you feedback on sounds very picky, but it sometimes it helps. These little things help. You have this sentence centered, have it all to the left, like you have here everything to the left and here everything to the left. You want to be consistent. I like what you have here. Extracurricular activities, make it left centered. You have social work. If you have anything else, add that on there. You can call it extracurricular or you can call it volunteer, which is also good. I love the fact that you have references. Grisel, myself, Martine, perfect. It's not always needed, but for you and everyone else in this class, references are good to put on there because you're new, you're just starting. And what it says is, I'm new, I'm just getting started, but I have these people that I know that are helping me, and they can tell you how good I am. So I like the references. Maybe again the colors update a little bit. I agree with David. I love the Trailhead link. I like the LinkedIn link. I do want to say one thing, and I can't remember if this was taught already, but on LinkedIn you can get a custom, name. And can you see my screen right now?
Just the resume.
I'm going to LinkedIn.
Oh, there we go. It's trying.
Okay. So if I go to everyone looks up here, you see my URL, it says LinkedIn Hector Perez Jr. There's a way for you to get kind of a custom link, and I can't remember how to do it. I think you got to go to account and settings and something like that. You got to find it. I'm not going to spend time doing that, but my point is, and can you see what I'm showing now? What's that?
I'll look for that and send that out, Hector. Okay.
And so I would just put maybe your custom link. And if you can still see my Aranza's resume,
nope.
You know how she has, and I'm sharing it, so I was just checking if you guys can still see it. She has all these numbers at the end. So you can clean all that up and just have your name in the URL. So otherwise, yeah. So take the advice, Aranza, on some of the feedback, and let's look at it again. This is a really good start. Okay, so Johanna, is this your resume? Can you see my screen?
Yeah. Yeah, it's not over yet.
I don't know. All right, I'll share again. I don't know why this does this. I swear I know how to use Google. All right, so is this your resume, Johanna? I'm looking at it right here.
Yep, but it's not over yet.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
I mean.
Okay.
So yeah, I think do you have a one with your name and all that stuff on there, right? Johanna?
Sorry, I was on mute. Yes.
Okay. So do you just want some feedback on this? Because it would be helpful to see the whole resume if you have it. And you have experience, which is really good. So you have a full resume like the other two we just saw?
Kind of. Ismael, ¿puede enviar el último que le mandé?
Yes, Hector, David, I send the other resume for Joanna in this.
You already sent it?
Yep.
This one?
Yes, is the other.
All right, hold on. I'm just gonna. Can you see it?
No yet.
Yeah, it was showing. I swear this is so annoying. All right, so you should be able to see it now. Is this it, Johanna?
Yes.
Okay. So my initial feedback is you want to have it a little bit more formatted, like one of the other two that we just saw. Let me see if I can zoom in a little bit. Oh, didn't zoom in. I really like the fact that you have some real world experience, which is really good. You have a software developer, like all of this stuff here, develop vision, savings.
Good. English too. Good.
This is really good experience. When you say software developer, did you do some coding at all?
Yes. On C
Okay,
sharp.
what kind of language? What kind of coding?
C sharp, LabVIEW, and
It's not on here.
No.
So
Is there?
I'm gonna
Is
tell.
there
I'm gonna
very
tell you.
very slow, very little there, like in the second bullet of the at the end.
Where?
You see how small it is? It is so small you cannot see it. It's right before robotic arm. It says C sharp.
Oh my God. Yeah. Okay. So, wow. So one thing I would say is, first of all, any software language skills you have is really, really important. Really, like it'll be very good. It'll show out in any job you're looking for related to Salesforce. Even though some of the Salesforce stuff we taught you isn't coding, to have the knowledge of object-oriented programming or any kind of development is really a valuable asset. So I would take this resume and put it aside and start from scratch. And what I mean by that is you have really good information. It needs to be organized so that the HR people or a hiring manager can look at it and visually know exactly, your skill set.
And Joanna, you haven't highlighted any of your Salesforce skills. So I mean, I would encourage you to have a section where you talk about your skills. Well, I know you're a college graduate. You want to list that as well, and you want to list Salesforce Expeditioner, 57 trails completed, 2 super badges.
Okay, and this is going to be part of the education or like work experience or skills or.
So the trailhead can be part of education. You can
Okay.
add the skills part. You can put like, any kind of like C sharp, certainly. You can put like, once you get your Salesforce certification, you can also put things like dashboards and reports because you've done a super badge already, things like that, or the other skills that we saw from Aranza, something like that as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, so I would say we're probably not going to go over this much more because you're in a unique position because you have a lot of runway, you have a lot of good stuff, but I would put this one off to the side and start from scratch and really build out a powerful one because you've got some good information. And you can Google resume templates. In Microsoft Word, it has templates. There's plenty out there. And you can look at mine that I sent last week. But
yes, I'm trying to use your template because I have other one that just mentioned like skills, C sharp, LabVIEW, blah, blah, blah. But doesn't have this kind of information because.
okay. If you want, maybe just document on just a Word doc or email all your skills and just send it to me, and then I can maybe help you build it together, and then I'll send you what I think it should look like, and then we can look at it next week.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. All right, so I'm just going to stop sharing and start sharing again because that's the only way this works, apparently. We have Wendy, I think is the last one. Or Yaz. No, we have Yaz and Wendy. All right, let's go to Yaz first.
Oh, there's
Let
a
me know if you
problem
get.
with the mine. It's in Spanish. Everything is in Spanish.
Yep, I see that. So I would say you can have a Spanish version. That's perfectly fine. But like the other ladies, I would encourage you to have an English version, especially for companies that are going to be looking to hire for folks that are bilingual. The layout isn't bad. And by the way, Barbara, welcome to the call. If you feel like giving any feedback, please do. I think the contact information, perfect. You have your home area, email. I would encourage maybe a LinkedIn and a Trailhead, if you can put that on there too. I'm not sure what this is supposed to convey, the resume professional. Oh, you're a student. Okay, this is kind of who you are. Skill sets. So the layout isn't actually bad at all. I would. Yeah, it's not bad. I can't tell, but I don't see a lot of like the Salesforce stuff here, the Trailhead stuff.
Yeah, I would encourage you to put another section at the bottom and put Salesforce skills or whatever and list out. Let's see, what do you got, Yaz? Oh, I don't get it. You ladies are like not touting you're a ranger. Put on there that you're a ranger, that you've done 152 bad trails, 2 super badges. You're a badass. Put it on there.
David's pretty fired up about that subject. I would agree. That is a very important mark to put on your resume. Also, just out of like Yaz, I think the little banner here that says YB, it's not needed. It's a little bit of a distraction. It doesn't bother me, but from a hiring manager, it's just going to be a distraction. I'd maybe make, like when you put this in English, maybe make these fonts a little bigger. But come back next week. Let's look at it in English. Add the Salesforce skills. I think you're headed in the right direction, though.
Good job.
All right, Wendy. Can you see the resume? Wendy's?
Not yet.
All right. Luckily, this is the last one because I don't know why my Gmail is so bad. Or my.
Are you shooting me the bird now too?
No. Not yet. All right. You should be able to see this. So.
I like it.
Wendy, the layout's clean. I really like it's clean, it's concise. So I'll give you that for sure. I would encourage you to put like your LinkedIn up here. I'm not sure what 8878, like, is this a zip code?
Seems like a zip code, yeah.
This is the code.
Yeah, you probably don't need that. I mean, it doesn't hurt, but like, it's probably not, as long as you have the city. I mean, that's good. Where you have professional summary, skills, work history, you want to capitalize all of these words. Enterprising woman, dynamic attitude, generate products. That's not bad. Maybe work on it a little bit. So you've done some advertising design. That's not bad. I don't see anything about Salesforce on here, or maybe your skill sets around what you've learned lately. Again, if you're going to put like a bullet list like this, capitalize the left side. I would get rid of like, I don't know what creator means. I'm just being honest. Maybe it means something to you. For me, I'm not sure what it means if I was a hiring manager. So I would think about the skills that Aranza put in there, like the technical skills. I like teamwork, responsibility, and compromise. I think those are great skills. I don't know if those are the skills that belong on here. Just kind of thinking out loud. Organization and planning capacity, that's a big one. So, I mean, if you know that, that's a good skill to have on there. So just maybe put a little bit more meat on here. I would also, again, put the Salesforce stuff on there. That's important. Work history. This is not bad at all. Any work history is good. If you're going to have jewelry salesperson, capitalize the S.
Same fonts too.
Yeah, and same font. That's actually a good point. It sounds very picky, but it's very important because this is one font. I think this is another font, and that may be a different font. So just kind of keep the font the same.
If you were a hiring manager looking for a Salesforce entry-level person, would you be interested to know that they were a ranger with 2 super badges and 220 trails?
I think David has a theme here for everybody in the class. Make sure that, and I don't know if it's like you guys forgot to do that, or you're maybe a little shy to gloat or to brag, but it's a really important accomplishment, and it's something that will get my attention if I'm looking to hire. So think about that. Overall though, languages, I like that you have both languages. You don't need a bold Spanish and then unbold English. I think just kind of keeping it consistent is good. And then a couple of things about the sales side of jewelry, and this is important for everybody on the call. Wendy is at a jewelry store selling, and you may think to yourself, what does that mean like for Salesforce? Like it's the technology, and what is very important is she's put in a couple of words that I like. Databases were updated, administration of the business, managing labor. So there are some skills that are being developed that can translate into maybe a Salesforce job. So I like what you put here, Wendy. Maybe we can sharpen it a little bit and maybe put something that is relevant to selling as well. Like if you are a seller, like working with customers and helping them figure out a product, those are really incredible soft skills that people look for. And although it's not technical, it is important. So think about, let's get this a little sharper, but I actually really like where you're going because you have some experience and some of it can apply to other parts of the labor force. Overall though, yes, it just needs to be cleaned up a little bit.
I love
Any questions?
To me, it's just a clean, it's visually appealing to me. You got some, nuts and bolts to fix, but I like this one. Yep.
Overall, fantastic job. This is, you guys are off to a really great start. I think, I'll tell you right now, my first resume did not look that good. It was a little messy. So you're all at different levels. Like Johanna has some C#. Wendy's selling. Some of you other folks are not quite there, but along the way, you want to paint a picture to the hiring managers that you are qualified, you're driven, you're accomplished, and sometimes it's hard to do that because it feels like you're bragging or you're like, look at me. But when a hiring manager needs to look at 10 resumes, you want yours to stand on its own. And everything we're telling you is all in the spirit of that. Barbara, any advice from your side just on resumes in general? I just put you on the spot, by the way.
She might have had to go offline for a second.
That's fine.
You did.
All right.
I was getting a coffee.
Sorry,
I'm sorry.
I was just wanting to involve you. I was just asking if you had any resume tips or anything in general.
Well, I'm not very good at resumes. Mine is kind of like a disaster, I would say.
Okay.
You can see it, and you're gonna give me all kinds of improvements to make to it.
Okay, I need
the
yours
wording
updated by next week, Barbara. We're going to review it and give you feedback.
It would be great, actually. But I think
send it to me.
the wording is kind of important. Like putting the things that you do in pretty words, I think that helps. because it's not the same saying I know C sharp, and then you know that you did projects or you develop things in that language, but then state that as well. Like I did this with this language and the outcome was, I don't know, I optimized this process, or like the how do you like the accomplishments maybe.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So that's what I think it's kind of important to add as well.
Okay. Thank you. And I'm serious. If you want any help with the resume, you can send it to me, and we'll take a look at it next week. Resumes are. I'll just say in general, in my career, I find myself sometimes like falling behind. Like I've been at Elastic, my company, for 9 months, but I haven't updated my resume since I joined. And you know, some people would say that's okay. You already have a job. But over time, if I'm at Elastic, let's say 7 years, and then I want to go somewhere else, you want to start to remember all this stuff. So it's important. My advice is every 6 to 12 months, you want to update your resume. Even if it's not perfect and you just write a couple of bullets so you remember, because sometimes time goes by so quick and you realize I actually did a lot of stuff and I only remember half of it. So the other thing I'd say, and I like Johanna's 2 lines where she saved US dollars, or she saved some money. When we look at that next week, we're going to dive into that, because that's actually a really powerful statement. If you can convey to somebody that you helped a company save money or time, those are powerful things. So let's quickly go over the LinkedIn before we go into the mock interview. So I have Aranza's LinkedIn open, I am sure, and hopefully you guys can see it. Couple of pieces of feedback. I think your about is, it's very nice. It's just, it needs to be a little bit more specific, right? So I like the fact that you're open to the world of work, but Aranza, I would say if you're interested in joining the Salesforce job market, you want to put something more powerful related to that. So something along the lines of, you know, I'm
That's it.
beginning my journey in technology and seeking my initial professional job in Salesforce. Something like that it would be a little bit more powerful. I do see that you have your license, your super badges, so that's great. I think that's fantastic. You'll be able to put your certifications. See, like I have, I think, yeah. So I have my certifications here. I think they changed the font, but like you'll be able to put your certifications. It'll have an ID. It'll have all that kind of fun stuff. So certifications will come soon. Overall, you got some skills here. Not bad. Maybe if you add more, add them. English, Spanish, Trailhead. And then you have the course of Elevar. These are all great things. This is an improvement. My advice would be maybe add a little bit more content to the about, and then we can look at it again next week. Any other comments or questions on Aranza's? Okay.
No,
Quickly go to Wendy. Yeah, go ahead. No questions?
it's okay.
Okay. Wendy, we don't have anything on here. So we need to maybe see a little bit more information on here related to Salesforce, your trails. Like Aranza had the about filled out. Are you comfortable filling that out in the next week? Do you have any questions about it? Are you still there? Can you guys hear me?
Yep. Wendy, are you
Yeah,
there?
but I don't see her on like in the people that
I
is on the
thought I
call.
saw her on earlier. Okay, my bad.
Yeah, she was, but I don't know. Maybe she Lost
Okay.
connection.
I hadn't looked if she was still there. Okay, so let's move on to Yaz. Is this your last name, Bettis? We may be related. So, again, I see the Trailhead by Salesforce. I would put your super badges for sure. Starting my journey in the world of CRM, looking for new experiences. This is actually really good. It needs to be cleaned up a little bit, but Yaz, this is a good start. I like that you're conveying that you're starting in the world of CRM or technology and looking. I would say I would probably obviously make it a sentence, so capitalize like I am beginning or something like that. And instead of new experiences, say something like my first professional role in the Salesforce job market. But this is a good start. I like that. Think about other skills you may have that you can add. Let's see, honors and awards. So you have that here, but where's the certifications? So if I go back to it, she had it under license and certification here. I don't know. I don't know where the best place to put it, to be honest with you. Let me find out. We still need the super badges on here, Yaz, but I think I'll take an action to figure out, is it better to put it under certifications or just education? Because you have it under accomplishments, which isn't a bad thing, but I honestly don't know the right answer. Okay, so let's quickly go through, who else have we? Celeste? Look at that. You got a nice cover page there. Looks really good. You're connected to a lot of people we know. Post, select, created, shared, comment. Oh, that's your activity. So you don't have an about. So maybe let's fill out the about. Education, Trailhead by Salesforce. That's good. Accomplishments. So we need the super badges on here. If you have any additional skills that you want to add, I would match the skills that you write on your resume. So if you recall, you have the skills, try to put those same skills here. But so far, yeah, you're in a good direction, but we need a little bit more from this LinkedIn. All right, let's go to Johanna.
I don't know about the rest, but for me, it takes a long time to load the page you're actually seeing.
Yeah,
Can you see it now? Can you see Johanna?
No, I'm still seeing
We're still
Celeste.
seeing Celeste, but if you give it a moment, it will load.
Okay, I didn't know that. Thank you.
I don't know if it's the sharing thing.
Could be me. Can you see her now, Johanna?
No. I see Celeste.
Yeah, me too. But it is now the entire world is in internet, so we're just using a lot of bandwidth, I guess, and it takes a lot of time.
Let me. I'm gonna switch
There.
to a different.
Yep.
We're seeing Joanna now.
All right, give me 1 second. You may see a delay. I have 2 internet routers, and I'm going to go to my faster one. Sometimes it goes to my slow one. So let's go with Johanna. Yeah, and let me know if you can't see her. I should be able to. It has it on here now. So Johanna, good picture, good cover photo. Connections. You have a lot of connections. I would probably add your about, like what you're about, like if you're looking for another role, if you're studying, or like what your goals are, much like we talked about before. I've scrolled down to experience and education. Can you guys see that now?
Yeah, can I ask a question before moving on to this experience and education? So I joined a Clubhouse chat or show or whatever yesterday on somebody. Oh, I don't remember the name. Something Force, of course. Hire Force? No, I don't remember. Anyway, he's kind of like a recruiter, and
Yeah.
he was giving advice on jobs and getting, I don't know, like excelling, I guess, interviews
Yep.
and something he said was on the about section in LinkedIn that you could. He was like giving advice to this guy saying hashtag your key words, I guess, kind of like Salesforce. And
Oh,
can you do that? Because I tried and I couldn't.
I've never heard that. So like under about, just put hashtag Salesforce, hashtag leader, hashtag whatever.
Right. And he was, the idea was to make it searchable, and so you can find yourself easier, like for recruiters to find you easier if they're searching for something. Do you know anything about it?
I don't. I've never heard of that. What I will tell you is, and I wasn't there, but like I have Salesforce. I mean, I have LinkedIn Recruiter, which actually you can see up here, and I never search in a way like that. I do it a different way. I mean, it's based off of experience and keywords, but maybe that works. I don't know. I have never heard that.
And neither have I. So, and I tried, and you can see the hashtag, but it's not like a link, like a regular hashtag in every other social media. So I was curious to know if maybe I was doing something wrong, or maybe it doesn't really work.
Maybe it's a different search he has. Like maybe it's a Google search or yeah, I don't know. I'll look into that. That's pretty interesting though.
Yeah, I was curious, or maybe I misheard the section, and but I kind of remember that he said the about section. He was like hashtag it like crazy, and I was like, what? It's not a social media for real. I mean, it is, but not really. So anyway, sorry for the interruption.
No, that's okay. I'd love to. If you learn about it more, let me know. I may do some research as well. I have never heard that one. So Johanna, I think yours is fantastic down here. Like education, license, and certification. This looks clean. This looks great. I actually like this the most. So for the rest of the ladies, I would encourage you to try to have something like this. Even though I was saying like I don't know if the badges, like where they go, I think this looks the best. The one thing I'd say about your experience at Landis and Georg, you've been there 4 years. You've been there a while. I think next week when we look at your resume, let's clean that part up and then make it match what you have here, because I think you have if you've been there 4 years, we can put a little bit more substance behind this and give you a little bit more power in regards to your experience. So all good stuff, but I think we can improve here. Skills and endorsements. Yeah, we've got a lot of like SQL, C#. I was always thinking of C+. Customer service, communication, pressure handling, like all of this is great. I love this. So for the rest of the ladies, even like who was at the jewelry place? Was it Aranda? Whoever, like the seller that does the jewelry, like add that in here. Your professional skills and stuff like that. Great, this is good. So did I cover everybody's LinkedIn? Okay, I think I did. Let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to do a little bit of an exercise today. David and I are going to do a mock interview. And what this means is, and what's funny is, Barbara, this is kind of the same thing that I did with the Brisbane group, the ladies in tech there in Australia. So this may sound familiar. But what the goal of this, for each of you ladies who are going to be, let's say, in front of somebody like Kuzmael or somebody at NTT for a position, they're going to ask you some questions. they're going to try to understand how you can fit into their culture, what skills you have, and do you have potential? Because if you have potential, it doesn't matter if you don't have all the skills. They want to be able to bring you on and train you for more skills, because an admin certification is good, but as you know, you're going to need more after that. So what I'm going to share with you today are some tricks, not tricks like bad things, but like some tips and tricks, and just some things that you need to keep in mind when you're interviewing for some of these Salesforce technical jobs. I've been able to do over 200 of these interviews, and I know what I like. I know what looks good. I also know what immediately doesn't look good. So let me just talk a little bit about how this goes. So we've already talked about LinkedIn. I'm not going to go there, but it always starts with LinkedIn, and not a good resume, but a great resume. If you want to stand out in front of all of the other people that are looking for jobs, you need to have a compelling resume. Not a resume that lies or is wrong, but a resume that really highlights the strengths that you have. Secondly, you want to know what you're applying for. Like, there's different types of Salesforce roles. There's an admin, there's an analyst, there's maybe a developer. You want to know exactly what you're getting into. So the job we're interviewing for today is on my team at Elastic. This is the company I work for. And what you're looking at is a typical job description. I'll highlight all of this. This is just a junior admin. It covers what the company does. It covers like my team, CRM engineering, and then it covers, we're looking for a Salesforce junior admin to join our team as we grow. We need to continue to scale. We want to hire somebody who will help meet the needs of our business. And so the reason why this section is so important is when we do an interview, you want to frame all of your answers, all of your content around letting them know that you're qualified for that job and you're kind of speaking their language. So what I mean by that is, where is it? I put something here. Oh yeah, the needs of our users. So there's some users there. You're talking to customers. So Johanna, I thought I saw like customer support, right? You can kind of see the match there. They're coming together of experience, and then you can put it for this job. So just start thinking about it that way. What you will be doing, these are very, very important. I highlighted a few things, right? So assigning user profiles, creating fields. You're going to be interviewing some other people in the business. We call it the business, to understand what they do. So you have to have good communication skills. So this kind of job description is almost like a playbook of how you want to run your interview. So this is the job you're applying for. Here's kind of what you're going to be doing. You're going to be this is what you bring. You want to have Salesforce administration license, and you want to be at least a ranger. So I won't read all of this, but this is kind of a typical job description for a junior admin. Sometimes it'll be a little different here and there, but you need to know what you're interviewing for. So the reason why I show this is if David is really good at getting some of these companies to come interview you, what David should ask and what you should ask is, do you have a job description so these ladies can prepare for the interview? Because you want to be ready, and it presents yourself in a professional manner. The other thing is, we didn't talk about this too much, but when you're interviewing, if it's on video, you want to have no distractions. You want to have like at least up here professional, right? If you have shorts on, that's fine. So think about it as going into a real office. If you go into a real office, you want to, dress professional, and those kind of things are very important because they make a first impression. So typically the interview cycle for the traditional jobs, and it may not happen with your first job if we can land you some internships, it may be a little different. But normally you have human resources once they find you on the internet or a resume, you do a phone screen, and the HR person just wants to make sure you're an actual person. They're talking to you, and you kind of can talk a little bit about your experience. They're not gonna, the HR person isn't gonna decide if you get the job. They're just gonna make sure you kind of fit this qualification that we're looking for. The hiring manager, which would be me in this, a lot of times I'm looking for cultural fit, some technical skills, but really, like, do you fit in with the team, and are you somebody that we can grow with? Also, you may have a panel interview. Some of these are either you have all these, or some of them you have only a few of these. A panel interview is maybe 2 or 3 people. When I came to Elastic, I think I had a panel interview of 5 people at once. And I did a lot of research on them. And that's another thing that's important, is if you're interviewing for this job, for me, you're going to want to come to my LinkedIn and see who I am. Hector's interviewing me here very soon. Okay, he works at Elastic. He did this. He was that. So he went to the University of Texas. So you want to learn a little bit about the people that are interviewing you ahead of time, because what it does 2 things. One is they see that you've looked at their profile, so it shows initiative, but also it gives you a little bit of nuggets of information about their history. So, for example, a lot of interviews I've done for landing a job is I'll look at the person who's hiring me, and let's say they went to the same school as me, or they are from a state that I've been to a lot. And sometimes in the interview, you can drop that kind of stuff into the interview, and it just kind of makes a human connection. So not the most critical thing, but it does help. Those small things all add up. The last thing is probably not for, I don't know about a junior admin, but as you get into more technical roles, you may have a technical interview, which is really around asking, very specific technical questions. We can talk about that later, but I don't know if that's going to be as important. It's just something to be aware of. So let's run this mock interview. David is, I'm going to stop sharing. Well, let me go over this. Dave, I'm the hiring manager. David is a new Salesforce admin. He's seeking that role, the one I just said. David has already passed the HR screen. They think he's pretty solid, and now they want to. And by the way, this happens to me every week, where I get emails from HR saying, this one's good, can you now interview? Because I have several roles open on my team. And now we're ready for the interview. So I'm going to stop sharing. And David, you have the script, and David's going to basically act like he's a junior admin, and I'm going to ask him a series of questions. And I don't expect for you to remember everything we talk about, but I want you to think about some of his answers and some of my questions, because they become kind of important. This will probably take like 10 minutes. We won't go too long, but this is kind of how some of the interviews go.
Before can I say?
Yeah, go ahead.
Hector talked about when you're going to interview somebody, you should definitely go look at their LinkedIn profile just to get to know them. Maybe like I see that Hector's an Air Force veteran. If I'm an Air Force veteran, that's something we can talk about. Or if I see that he worked at Dell and I worked at Dell, that's something we can talk about. But you want to get to know him as much as you can and figure out how to leverage that to develop a connection, some kind of common point. You also must make sure you research the company. So you should never show up to, if you're going to interview with Hector for Elastic, if you haven't looked at their website and understand who they are and what they do, you're immediately disqualified. So you have to, before you go into the interview, do your research and spend, a good 30 minutes, an hour understanding the company, the person, and the role. Does that make sense?
I agree 100%. And the company part I was going to follow in the post interview, but I can tell you right now, the people that I interviewed for some of the jobs at Elastic isn't well known. It's not a Microsoft or Amazon, but if you're interviewing for a role, it's okay that you don't know how to use our products, because some of them are technical, but I want you to know what we sell, and I want you to know a little bit about the company. So David is absolutely right. You want to know about the job, the company, and the person that's interviewing. And it's not creepy or anything that you go to their LinkedIn and they can see that, hey, you know, Wendy looked at my LinkedIn, I'm going to interview her tomorrow. That shows initiative. That shows, oh, they really care about like this process. And so David's right. Do your research. These are all things that are free. Like, they don't cost money. They just a little time, a little dedication, and your percentage of maybe getting the first job or the job you're interviewing for goes up a little bit each time you do those things.
So all that being said is, like, we're going to tee up interviews with you guys for companies like Aperio and NTT Data. So we'll tell you the company name. Hope we'll get a job description if there's one. We'll give you the person's name, and you should spend time looking at what's NTT Data. Who are they? What do they do? Who is Pedro? And then what's the role? Because it's not, and I know for some of you ladies, maybe it's your first job. It's a two-way thing here. It's the employer is looking to see if you're a good fit, but you're also interviewing your employer. Are they a good fit for you? Because each of you ladies are proud, important young ladies who have some valuable skills. So you might say no to the first job. You might say no to the second job. You need to find something that works for you and what's going to add value for you as much as you're going to add value for the company.
Yeah, I would agree.
You guys are just, what you've done is incredible, and I don't think you have a sense of it yet, but that will come.
Yeah, and one thing I'd say, Dave is right. You may have multiple offers, but your first couple of jobs, I wouldn't be too picky. If somebody gives you an offer and you think it's like okay, but there's no other job interviews you have, I would encourage you to take it, because I've said this before, your first job may not be your dream job. I'm talking about Salesforce job. The most important thing is that you get that experience. And I've had a lot of people come through my program at Merivis where they get a first job and it's not bad. They get paid. They go from getting paid maybe $20,000 a year to $70,000 a year. And after 2 years, they're like, Hector, I like the company, but I want to go somewhere else because I feel like I can learn more. That's perfectly fine. I've been at a lot of different companies. And so I say that not because it's like, you know, you're going to land your dream job right away, but give it a little time. And it took me 20 years, and I think I'm at the best job I've been at ever. But I like my company, but it's taken a while to get there. So, all right, let's get to the mock. What's that?
I said, all right, let's go.
Let's go. All right. So we're going to do this mock interview here. You ladies can just listen and just kind of look at the dialogue, and we're just going to go into this mode right now. All right. So David, thank you so much for coming into this interview for this Salesforce Junior Admin. We're excited to have you here. Elastic is growing, and we've got a lot going on. I would really like to understand, just maybe tell me a little bit about yourself before we get started into some of the other parts of the interview.
Well, Hector, first off, I'd like to say thank you for your time. I'm really appreciate the opportunity to talk to you, to learn a little bit more about this role. I've done some research on Elastic, and what an exciting, dynamic, growing company. It sounds like you guys have a great company and a great culture, so I'd love to hear a little bit more about that. And then for me, I just graduated from high school. I live in Reynosa, Mexico, and I just finished a program called Elevar, where I will complete my Salesforce admin certification next month. I'm a Salesforce Ranger. I've completed 225 badges and 2 super badges.
Wow.
I'm really excited to enter the world of Salesforce.
I like that. Wow. Thank you so much, David. It took me a while to get to Ranger, so congratulations on that. I like that. So let's get started a little bit around, you know, the interview side. So can you tell me about a time where you delivered some sort of solution to a problem? It could be in Salesforce, like maybe with your Trailhead, or maybe just at a different job, but maybe I'm really trying to understand how you solve problems. So can you tell me about a time where you delivered a solution that you had not done before, and how did you take that on?
That's a great question, Hector. And let me try to answer that in 2 ways if I could. So in all candor, I just finished, I'm just a ranger, or I am a ranger. I'm not just a ranger. I'm very proud of being a ranger. And I will complete my Salesforce admin certification next month. But the trailheads and the super badges have been really a great way for me to begin to train myself on Salesforce skills and figure out how to leverage Salesforce to deliver a solution. And I could talk about whatever badge I completed if I knew what I was talking about, but I know nothing about Salesforce and the badges. But let me talk to you about a job that I currently have. I currently sorry, hold on. I currently work at a jewelry store, and I'm responsible there for the database and making sure that we have proper inventory. So one of the things that my manager, when I first started, we ran out of products to sell. Hold on, I apologize. Sorry. Hector, when I first started, we ran out of jewelry to sell. And I was talking to my manager, and my manager asked me to work with the database with our suppliers to make sure that we always had a proper inventory. And so since then, we've never run out of products to sell.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you. I appreciate that. So I see on your resume here, you have some skills with, it says communication, and it's telling me a little bit like you also have like English and Spanish. Those are really important skills for this job. But I also see that you did a little bit of C# work. Can you tell me what you did with that?
Yeah. Hector, before I answer that, would it be helpful if we like stepped out of character after each little conversation and like reflected back to the
Yeah, we can do that. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. So you want to go back to the last question then?
Yeah, so the very first one, I mean, when Hector asked me to tell a little bit about myself, first off, I just wanted to personally thank him. Hector, you're a human being. You're giving me your time. Thank you for your time. And then when I talked about Elastic, what I was trying to share with Hector was, I've done some research. I understand your company. Maybe I've learned some things about the values. Elastic's really into company culture, values, who they are in the business world. So what I tried to show Hector there was, I've researched him, I've researched his company, I'm thankful for his time, and I understand the job role. And then after I made it about him, I made it about me. Hector, I just graduated from high school, or wherever you are. I just finished this program. I'm excited. When companies are interviewing you, they want to hear, and Hector, tell me if you disagree, passion is the most important thing. I'm excited about you, your company, and this job, and I'm thankful. I'm not arrogant. I'm not cocky. I'm confident. I'm bold, and I'm proud and thankful to be here. I'm humble. So that's what I tried to do in that first part. And then when he asked me about the project, what I was trying to say to him was, look, I don't have any Salesforce experience. However, the Trailhead, and you girls have incredible Trailhead muscles. Here's what I did in Trailhead. And I'm not technical, so I don't know all the knowledge that you know, but you could probably talk about one badge that you completed and how you learned something or solved a problem with the badge. So it shows him you have skills there. And then go to real world. So if you worked in a jewelry store, if you've worked at your church, if you've worked at a nursery, if you've been an engineer, find one practical example to talk about how you solved a problem and created a solution. That makes sense? Awesome.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I mean, I'm not looking for a perfect answer. I'm looking for sometimes your problem solving skills, which doesn't necessarily always have to be like technology wise.
It could be, I participated in this class and I didn't have a laptop, and here's how I got access to a laptop. Or I didn't have internet, and here's how I got access to an internet. I borrowed my friends, or I went to the library. But you just want to show you got grit, you got determination, that you're a can-do lady.
All right.
Sorry.
So we got about. We'll cut it to about 2 more questions because I like the way we're going into each of these. But let me go into character again. So David, next question here. I see on your resume that you have a couple of skill sets here
Excuse me,
that are
Hector.
important. Yes.
Can you guys speak slow? Because you are so passionate, and I try to catch some ideas, but you guys are talking so faster.
No problem. No problem.
Thank
you for telling us. We've had too much coffee. All right. So David, I see on your resume you have a skill sets like PowerPoint and good communications, and you have English and Spanish. But I also noticed that you have worked with customer support, talking to customers. I think, and it looks like maybe at a jewelry store or at your engineering company. I'm just kind of picking 2 examples. Can you tell me a little bit about how you handle customers and how you work with them if they come to you with a problem?
Yes, Hector. At the jewelry store, I've had 2 jobs. The first job is I worked in retail at a jewelry store. And in addition to working with the suppliers and the database, I also worked with customers. And so when a customer would come in with a problem with the jewelry, I would work with them, find out what the problem was. Then I would work with the jeweler to solve that problem and make sure that they were happy with the purchase. And then at the engineering company, I did some coding. I used C#, and I learned that while I was there. And I was also responsible for any customer support. So when anybody would call in or email with a engineering related problem, I was responsible for solving those issues as well.
Wow. Thank you. That's super helpful. That's kind of the role we're looking for. So breaking character again, as you can see, what I was asking about was not Salesforce. It was a different area because as a manager, you have to know, something about the technology, but I want to know that you can talk to people. You have communication skills. You know how to solve problems. So David did a pretty good job there and was able to answer the question pretty well. So I've got another question here, David. We're going back into character. If I were to, yeah.
I was just going to say one interviewing skill that's might be to think when Hector asks me a question and I answer, at the end of that, it's good for me to pause and say, Hector, did I answer your question? And just check in with him. Does that make sense?
That's fantastic advice. I forget about that one because I can tell you there have been people that really didn't answer the question. And when people ask me at the end of an interview or the question and I answered it, before I would go to the next one, when people ask that, did I answer your question? It feels a little weird to ask that sometimes, frankly, but it helps because as an interviewer, or that you've answered the question. Sometimes people, they dance around, they talk about other stuff, or they just don't answer what you're looking for. So I would agree.
And do you tell them, no, you did not answer the question?
Oh yeah. Well, I'm nicer than that. What I tell them is, you gave me a little bit, but what I'm really looking for is how did you do? Because one of the questions that I usually try to figure out is, especially for more senior roles, is when I ask them what their impact was, and sometimes they say, here's what the team did, and they talk a lot about that. But what I want to know is, what did you actually do? And so I'll explain the question a little bit more. But yeah, I mean, sometimes I've had to do that.
It's important to be concise when somebody asks you a question. You don't want to talk. You want to answer simply, concisely. Hector, did I answer your question? If I did, he's going to say yes. If I didn't, he'll ask me more.
So let me share with you a brief story for 1 minute. I was interviewing somebody for a senior role at Elastic. They were going to be a peer of mine in another team. and it was a 45-minute interview. I asked one question, and in 25 minutes, the other person was talking the whole time. I'm not going to stop people, because if I stop you, that's not really telling, because that's not going to change your behavior. Even if I get what I want answer-wise and you're good, the fact that I had to slow you down. And so you can't talk all the time, because sometimes people like to hear themselves talk, and it's not a bad thing to say, you know, things on the interview, obviously. But to David's point, just go right to the answering the question. You can kind of go a little round, but like, don't talk like 25 minutes is way too long to answer a question, right? You're just at that point, we had 15 minutes left and I already made my decision that we're not going to, because if they have to now work with, if we hire somebody like that and they have to work with other people, they're going to talk more than they listen. And I need listening skills too, which is very important. Let's get into the last question I have for David. So David, if I were to ask some of your colleagues at school, at high school, your students, or at the jewelry store, if there was one skill you can improve upon, what would they say that would be?
One skill I could improve upon? That's a great question. And you guys all should be prepared for this. It's kind of a gotcha question. I'm too impatient. What's one skill I could improve on? Seriously, I get very passionate and excited. And so sometimes I have to just slow down and make sure that I'm just slow down sometimes. I get very passionate and excited about things. That's not a good answer.
No, that's actually fine. That's actually fine. It doesn't, I mean, the fact of the matter is, for me, there's no wrong answer. If you ever come back, actually, there is one wrong answer. If you come back and say there's nothing I can improve upon, I don't want you on the team, because even at my age, there are things I know we always need to improve it. And what the answer, what I'm trying to get to is, do you have self-awareness? And do you have humility to know that there are things you can get better at? The answer you give isn't that important. Like, unless it's a bad answer, like, I got to stop killing people. I've killed 3 people. Like, that's a terrible answer. But like, you know, little things like what David said, that's perfectly fine. Everybody has something to improve upon. It's do you have the humility? Do you have the self-awareness that you can be better? All right. So here's another important part of the interview. You have to have questions ready for the interviewer, for me. So David, I really appreciate the answers you've given me. Been pretty good. The conversation's been good, but I want to leave a little time for you to answer questions about either the company or culture or anything I can answer for you. So do you have any questions for me?
Well, Hector, I've read the job description and I'm pretty clear on what on the requirement. I think, assuming that we've been talking for a while and he knows I'm a very junior person, you could at the end of this conversation ask something like, well, Hector, based upon everything that we've said today, do you feel like I would be, if you're excited about this job and you want the job, this is kind of a closing question. Hector, I'm really excited about this role. Everything you've told me about this job, Elastic, and you as a manager are something I want to be a part of. Is there anything that would prevent me from being a good fit for this job from your perspective? So you're trying to close him right now and ask for the job, and you're asking for his objections. So Hector, are there any objections or any concerns or issues that you might have about David being a fit for this job? Because I really want this. I'm excited about it.
Yeah, I will say this. That is a sales tactic, David, the closing part. I personally do not like when people ask me, how did I do? Because I'm still evaluating, right? And so that's just me. I'm not going to, there are a few situations where I'm really excited about the person, and I'll say, yes, you're doing really well. I'm going to advance you to the next round. And that is more information I give. But if somebody asks me, how did I do? I'm like, well, I honestly say I need to think about it a little bit more, even if I've kind of decided that I'm not, because I process things differently, and so I'm not going to tell you if you got the job.
Well,
right there.
I'm asking you, do you think I potentially would, based upon my skills and just the conversation today, do you think I could potentially be a good fit for the job? I'm not asking you for the job. I'm not asking you how I did, but I'm trying to get you to surface objections. Hey, David, I don't think you have enough experience doing this, or so I can answer any objections that you have, is where I was trying to go with that.
Yeah, no, I get it. I think for me, I don't have any objections right now. I think your answers were pretty solid. I need to huddle with my team a little bit and decide. But in this case, since I know there's another interview, either way, I'd say right now you lack a little bit of passion, and you're dressed like a beach bum on video. So probably not going to move. I'm kidding. Yeah, I mean, I'll give some feedback, but I'm probably not going to ever say anything, because I honestly, I just process it differently. I need to think about it after the interview. If I'm on, here's another thing. If I'm on the fence, I probably won't move forward anyways, because I usually tilt on the non-side. But if I have feedback, I'll give feedback related to, like, your answers were pretty solid. You know about the company. My only concern is you have experience in manufacturing and not high tech. So I kind of have to think about that. Those are the kind of feedback areas I give information on. But yeah, I mean, right now I still have to evaluate this, David.
And what I was trying to do there, ladies, is Hector's listening to me and talking to me. If there's something that he's concerned about, and if he hasn't said it, I want him to say it. Like, David, I'm worried that you don't have enough experience or whatever. So I can, I can change my dress. I can comb my hair, or I can study more, or I can do whatever. And then I think it's also okay for you to ask at the end, well, Hector, I really thank you for your time today in this interview. Can you help me understand what next steps are?
Yes, and that's a perfectly valid question. I get that one all the time. And when I get that, and depending on what stage of the interview, I'll answer it like, yeah, next steps are and by the way, I type notes while we're interviewing, and I'll tell the person that's interviewing, hey, I'm not checking email, I'm typing notes. And so what I'll tell the person who asked me about next steps, I'll say, I'm going to look at my notes, I'm going to sync up with HR, and HR will be getting back to you on next steps. 10%, maybe 8% of the time, if I know it's a really good candidate and I want them to know that even before we end the call, I'll let them know, you've done really well. This is exactly what we need. I'm going to have HR schedule the next interview. But I don't do that all the time. It's just kind of rare. And I'll never tell anybody, like, you're terrible. I'll just say, this doesn't quite look like a match for us. But usually I let HR handle it for the most part.
And ladies, after you get through with an interview, two things I would encourage you to do is, after the interview, email the person. Email him, Hector, thank you for your time today. If there's anything that's relevant from the conversation about next steps, thank him for the time. Express your interest. Hector, I really appreciate your time. I'm really excited about your position. I'm very interested in the role. I'd love to continue the discussion. Look forward to hearing from you, or whatever those things are. So you're being thankful. You're being appreciative. You're echoing anything that you heard in the conversation. You're telling him that you really want this, and you're asking for guidance on what's next. Second thing you should do is get a piece of paper, a note card, and write Hector, and this will differentiate you. This is old school, but Hector, you tell me if you disagree, is write a personal handwritten note to Hector. Dear Hector, Thank you for the interview. Really appreciate it. Excited about the opportunity. Love, David. And put it in the mail and send it to Hector. Hector, do you get handwritten notes anymore? If you did, what would you think about that? Do you care?
Do you want my honest opinion?
Yeah.
I think it's a little old school.
Okay.
It's just me. It's also creepy that they would know my home address. I understand it, and I actually know that it was a big thing in the past. And if somebody sent it to me, it would stand out. It would certainly stand out. I have not gotten one ever, like in my career. I've gotten emails, but I don't think I've ever gotten a personal note sent to me from somebody I've interviewed.
Yeah, I would not send it. If you're going to do that, send it to their work address, not their home address, because that would be creepy. But I've done that in the past, and yeah, I mean, I'm 56 years old, so I am old. But I've heard from people in the past where I've sent a handwritten note that was like, wow, nobody else has ever done that before, and it was a differentiator.
I would agree. It probably is a differentiator. I would say for the roles you're interviewing now, if you have a question about it, ask David or I. We'll give you advice on if you should send it. The other challenge is a lot of companies, we're all working from home now. So getting, like I don't get mail in my current job. I don't have a mailbox. So it's just logistics as well. But it would stand out. It would definitely stand out. Opening it up to any additional questions on interviewing or anything else we've talked about today. What's so funny?
She's chatting, so I'm being a stalker by sending an email. Hey, Wendy. So ladies, I sent an email. There's some homework things that I would encourage you to do is schedule some time with your mentor this week, review your LinkedIn profile, review your resume, and do a practice interview like we did today with your person. And then if you've done the focus on force test, review that. Any other homework, Hector?
No, that's it. I would agree with David. I want to see all the feedback we gave on resumes updated, especially Johanna. You've got some good information. You can put a good one together. LinkedIn, we talked about that. Next week, we're going to get into the exam preparation. I've said this before. I would continue to take a couple of practice exams on focus on force. It starts to get that muscle built. The other thing, and I think I'm not sharing my screen, is by at least next Saturday, I would really like for most of this to be done. Worst case, if it goes into the next week, that's okay. But I do not want you to take the exam before you do this series of trails, because all of this is about getting you ready for the exam, right? And so it talks about, like I just clicked the very first thing. Organizational setup is 3% of the exam. User setup is 7% of the exam. Security and access is 13%. So you start to learn a lot about the importance of it. It's 60 questions. You have to get 65% right, which means you have to get 41 of the 60 correct. I think it's 41. We're going to get some vouchers for you. Don't worry about the cost right now. So next week, I'll start to focus on how you register for the exam and how you start studying for it. So all of this is going to be important. And then you can obviously get some trails here to get your points up. And then I'll focus on getting the vouchers, so you don't have to pay $200. I should have those in the next week or two. Can I answer any other questions?
Hector,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Yona.
Okay, I have a question about the interviews. I don't know if Barbara can help me with the English, but I I'm afraid when I'm in the interview and someone asks me, uh, when do you, ¿cómo se dice cuando, cómo te ves en 5 años?
How do you see yourself in 5 years?
How do you say?
I
Yeah.
kind of hate that
So
question too.
Yeah,
That's where you
So,
want to. Go ahead, Hector.
well, I was going to say I don't like it either, but I actually have asked it because of the following. As a manager, I may have a role that is kind of junior or even mid-level, and then I have an idea of where I want to see that progress as we grow. And you're really a good candidate, and I want to make sure we keep you. So I want to make sure your career aligns to where our needs are, because sometimes that can make a difference. So let's say you're getting hired as a CPQ, which is a piece of Salesforce. And I ask you in 5 years where you want to be, and you say, I want to be a marketing specialist. That's really good. I like that, but it doesn't align to where I'm going to need the team. But I'll say this, just to answer it really quickly: have something, even if it's generic, because it's actually good for you to just know that in general. Like, put the job aside. But you want to have some 3-year goal, 5-year goal. Go, David, you're jumping.
Yeah, I'm passionate about this because I think it's a question that men and maybe women ask young women to see if they're going to be in the workforce or they want to stay home and have babies or that. So so I would not talk about your personal life. I would not talk about family. Keep it professional. You don't want to lie, but you don't want to. So you want to, I mean, I think you, Roberto shared with me that you want to have children. So I would not share that with an employer. I would say something like, I want to continue to grow and advance my skills. And I want to be a manager in 5 years or something like that, but keep it, don't lie, but don't talk about your personal. In the United States of America, you cannot ask about personal stuff.
Yeah. And that's a good point. Whether we like it or not, some leaders or managers want to know if you're going to be around, or you may have to take time off. And it's a sensitive subject, but it's a very important one. It's none of their damn business, right? It's a personal thing. And so for me, I don't ask that stuff. But if you ever get asked a personal question like that, you should question if you want to work there anyways, right? So David's right. Keep it professional. Say, whatever, have a couple of goals. But yeah, I would keep it professional.
Ask me that question. Let's just play that out for a second. I'll pretend like I'm a 20-year-old female.
David, a 20-year-old female. Oh my God. I can't even imagine that. But so David, I see that you're a 20-year-old female on TikTok. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, where I was hoping he would go with that was ask me like a personal question, like.
I'm sorry, David. I see that you had just gotten married. Congratulations. Are you getting ready to start maybe a young family soon?
Hector, I'm uncomfortable. I'm curious, why you would ask me that question.
I've been drinking and I don't know what I'm saying. Kidding. I don't know, man. I'm uncomfortable asking it. So yeah. I don't even know why I would ask that.
But ladies, this is important. I mean, you might be asked that by a man or a woman, a personal question. And it's okay just to say, I'm not comfortable. I'd be happy to talk about my professional career. Happy to talk about my education and my experience, but my personal life has nothing to do with this conversation. And that might be the end of the interview. That's fine. That's not a good fit for you. But know your power, know your worth, and just say, nope, we're not going to do that.
Yeah, and I think in Mexico, because that's a thing in the US where you're kind of allowed, not allowed, but to say what you think and to say you're not comfortable with those questions and to say, well, thank you, but no thank you. But in Mexico, it's kind of different still. It shouldn't be. and I agree it shouldn't be, but it is. And people and managers and I don't want to sound feminist, but male leaders, they tend to think that they have the right to ask those questions, but know that you have the right to not answering them.
Amen. Amen.
I agree. Yeah, it's a changing world, and maybe it's a little. Maybe they still traditionally ask those questions in parts of Latin America, maybe Mexico. But to Barbara's point and to what we were saying, you're interviewing for a professional job, not for like those questions aren't important. They're important personally, but as long as you get the job done.
Yeah.
What else?
And I think that maybe if the interviewer asks me something like that, I don't want the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that a culture you want to be a part of? Probably not.
Yeah. Something else. What about the strengths and the weakness?
You should be ready for that. You should have every one of you, each of you will be asked that. Tell me, and Hector asked me that. Tell me what your strengths are and your weaknesses are, and you should have a prepared answer for that. And just you need to be ready for that and have an answer. There's no right or wrong. You just need to be ready so you're not caught with I don't know. I don't know is the wrong answer.
I usually have like a list. Like before I go to an interview, I kind of do a list of things I've done. I'm awful at answering those questions. I get really nervous and I start my palms start sweating. But I kind of have a list of, because I know I'm not perfect and I know that I have a lot of defects. So I kind of have a list usually.
But you want your defects almost to be a positive, that you're too much, too passionate, too whatever. But you should be prepared for that and practice that with your mentor. But you know what I mean? Be like, your strengths are that you like to learn. You're passionate about family. I mean, think of 2 or 3 things that you're just ready for, and then think of 2 or 3 things that are the weaknesses that you should have as just a ready answer. It's just muscle memory.
So, this is also an important question just for self-reflection, like even outside of the interview, because I'm thinking about what if I was asked. And so I would probably immediately say, I find myself sometimes overcommitted to either project work. And so I have to very much keep an eye on my work-life balance and ensure that I take enough time for myself and my family to recharge. These aren't bad things. They're normal things. And so it also calls out a little humility. Like, I think it's important to have some of those identified. Strengths, yeah. I mean, pick your strengths. You probably have a lot.
But what Hector said there was a beautiful example. He gave a negative that he struggles with work-life balance. So if I'm interviewing Hector and I say, Hector, tell me about a weakness for you. And he says, I struggle with work-life balance. What does that tell me? It tells me that Hector is a guy who likes to do a lot of stuff. I know that he's going to be a workhorse, that if I saddle him with stuff, he can't say no. I mean, so that was a beautiful answer of turning a negative into a positive.
Thank you. Yes. So it's one of those things where, like, I'm a big fan of not the question. I think the question's a little outdated, but it does get asked. But it's a really important question for self-reflection, if nothing else. Also, no Barca shirts on your interviews. Like Johanna has a Barcelona shirt on. I just thought it was funny. I'm kidding. Wherever you end up going, something professional. Not even like, this isn't even like, you don't want like patterns and stuff. You want kind of a solid color, light environment if you're on video. So little things like that make a difference.
Yeah, check your audio, your internet connection.
Yes, all that. Like we think, oh, it's gonna work fine, and 5 minutes before you can't connect. And I've had people show up 10 or 15 minutes late. And people understand, like, hey, I lost my power. That's okay. But like, as much as you can avoid that, it becomes very helpful. The last thing I'd say, and this is the thing that has helped me the most with any interview, when I was at Fidelity, I may have said this before, I had 14 interviews over 4 months to get the job. And at Amazon, I had 5 interviews, and they were specific. The thing that helped me the most is to have, I call them stories, but like nuggets of information that you can just pull out. Like, so tell me about a time that you worked on a project and you did this. I have 3 or 4 stories or examples with numbers, what I did, the impact. And so that may not be the stage you are in right now, but you're going to get asked some questions that are pretty traditional. Like, tell me about how you work in teams, or, just think of things like that. Have some examples. Even if you think they're not like really compelling, what it does is the following. You don't have to kind of like think about it on the fly. You already have it. So you're just slowly saying it. And it shows that, and like Barbara had mentioned, she got a little nervous, and like, for me, I sometimes get nervous. If I want the job, I get like a little nervous. But if you practice those stories or the examples or some of the accomplishments, and you can say them very clear and in a calm voice, it helps a lot. And for many jobs I've gotten lately, I probably studied over 12 to 14 hours to get ready for it. And it was that important to me. I don't think you have to do it for your first job, but like, if you really want it and it's an important job that can change your life and like make you happy and financially, it's worth the investment to practice and just say it out loud. And sometimes I've said a few of my examples or my answers out loud by myself, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't sound right. And so then I say it again. And then after a while, it becomes crisp and clear. And so when I'm talking, it looks like I know what I'm saying, when all I've done is
Record yourselves. You can record yourselves, and then
yeah, I can do that too.
you may not like the sound of your voice because we are not used to it, but it helps.
It does, but only you are hearing it, and so that's important. Is like, it may be embarrassing or whatever. Like, some people don't like to hear their voice, but wouldn't it be nice if you fixed some of those small things on your own, and then when you come up to the stage, the interview stage, it's like a fine wine. It's just really good. It's flowing well. Before we go, any other questions?
Last question. Hector, you like a hiring a manager. Let's say that you have a really well prepared and technical staff person, and by the other hand, you have a really passionate person like that is, no sé, I mean, it's nice to talk with her or he. Which one? Oh,
So one that's technical, prepared, but you don't see as much passion and drive. One that has a little technical, but has the passion and the drive. What do you think I'm going to answer? Because I've answered this question a lot. I know Barbara probably knows.
I think that you are going to choose what you are looking for. Maybe you are not looking a well-prepared person, but you are looking someone that you can work with he or she. But I don't know.
So I can train for technology and skills. I can't train for passion. I can't train for drive. And so if you're prepared, but you're not quite there technically wise, but you know the company, you know the product, you know me, you're so excited, you're grateful, like you dive in, or someone who has 2 certifications is just kind of sitting there. Yeah, I know Elastic. Yeah, I did a lot of technical work. Those are like I have had somebody come for a couple of roles that was really technically great, but I wouldn't put them in front of a customer, and I don't trust that they're going to be here for more than 2 years because they would probably, I don't know, they just don't feel like a cultural fit. So the short answer is I would go with passion and drive every day, every time.
And I think maybe the third one would be humility.
Mm-hmm. I mean, today's environment, and I don't know if it has gotten like to the companies in Mexico and Latin America, but culture is so important. Do you help diversify? Do you bring a different voice? Are you, and this is more for the person that's interviewing, is this a culture of a company I want to work for? I left Amazon because it's a soulless company here in Seattle. I don't like it. And it wasn't aligning to my values. And so those things become important as you go up in your career. You can make maybe more money at company A, but you're kind of miserable, or you make a little less, but you love it and you're up in the morning, you're going, and you have a lot more potential. So I will say that your first job, you may not have all those options because sometimes you just got to get your foot in the door. But once you're in the house, then you can go into all the other rooms and figure out where you want to go. All right. Excellent. Well, you ladies are doing a fantastic job. Continue the improvement of your LinkedIn and resume. You want us to be giving you feedback. You don't want hiring managers later to say, I don't know what this means. So just consider it a friendly environment when we give you feedback. And then start on that trailhead certification path. And next week, we'll talk a lot more about the exam. Otherwise, happy Saturday.
Thanks, guys. Have a great
Thanks,
week.
Barbara, for joining us. We'll talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.